Demon Slayer is finally back with an awesome 40-minute premiere. My Hero Academia just dropped its most controversial episode so far, and there may be plans for more Evangelion. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel for another episode of This Week in Anime, a series where I go over some of the hottest anime news and episodes every single week. Check the description for everything this video is gonna cover, and feel free to use the timestamps to skip sections you are not interested in or don't want spoilers for. With all that being said though, let's finally start with Demon Slayer. Before watching this Demon Slayer episode, I was honestly pretty scared for this season. Everyone I know who's read the manga told me that the pacing for this arc was going to be atrocious. It was supposed to be a very short training arc, but they were going to stretch these 8 chapters into a whole season. But then I finally watched the episode, and it was honestly a very solid episode of Demon Slayer. And it turns out that the whole season is going to be 8 episodes instead of 12, so the pacing isn't going to be that bad either. Getting to see Sanemi and Iguro slaying a castle full of demons was freaking awesome. And as usual with Ufotable, the animation, compositing and effects were incredible. And seeing both of them almost getting stuck in the Infinity Castle was really hype. I believe we start the final arc right after this season, and it truly feels like we're slowly reaching the end game. Especially with Kaguya seemingly dying at the end of the episode, and Tamayo getting invited into the Demon Slayer headquarters. Konosuba Season 3 Episode 6. This was a wild episode of Konosuba. Never in my entire life did I ever expect Kazuma to actually pop off and be a badass. I'm assuming part of the reason he became such a badass was because of the one-year mask, because he was starting to talk like him, but still. The man actually defeated Royal Knights and Mitsurugi without breaking a sweat, and the double steal was honestly pretty damn epic. And surprisingly enough, it wasn't panties that Kazuma ended up stealing. We also reached the end of this Royal Palace arc, and I honestly had a really fun time with it. Really excited to see what the next arc is gonna be all about. There's not much to say, but Kaiju number 8 also had a pretty good episode. It was mostly a training episode along with fleshing out some new characters, and I honestly really liked it. Ranger Reject Episode 5. This was another absolutely insane episode of Ranger Reject. From Hibiki actually hiding a whole body in his closet to Brocon Pink Ranger. This was a wild ride. We got introduced to all the independent rangers who work with Hibiki, along with getting some more information on Pink Ranger, who turns out to be Hibiki's sister. I seriously thought that she ended up dying in the flashback, but it seems like she's just disabled, and transforming into the Pink Keeper allows her to move freely. The female fighter getting flustered was crazy, but it seems like she does care about Hibiki, so I'm really interested to know what their relationship is about. And seeing Fighter D trying to hide the closet girlfriend from Brocon's sister was honestly hilarious to watch. MHA Season 7 Episode 2. This is easily gonna be the most divisive episode of My Hero Academia. Ever since this chapter came out in the manga, it is still one of the most discussed and criticized moments in the entire series. Introducing a foreign hero with an awesome design and killing her in just 2 episodes is something that really annoyed a lot of readers, and we're likely gonna see the same discourse once again since this chapter is finally adapted. Personally, I don't hate this episode as much as most people, and as short as it was, I still really love our fight with Shigaraki, especially in the manga because of the incredible art. But the anime did have some pretty good animation, and I got pretty hyped seeing New Order destroy all those quirks, and seeing her haunting Shigaraki at his every move was pretty badass as well. So even though she could have played a bigger part in the story, I still love Star and Stripe along with these 2 episodes. Let me know how you guys feel about this episode, especially if you're an anime only. Mission Yozakura Family Episode 6. This is easily my favorite episode of the series so far. We have the introduction of Ayaka, and she is the textbook definition of a yandere, and that's exactly why I appreciate the subversion of her falling in love with Mutsumi instead of Taiyo, like I've seen in a lot of different anime. I'm usually not a fan of yandere characters, but I laughed my ass off when Taiyo got cucked by Ayaka. Plus we had some pretty good animation in this episode as well, and the second half with Shion and the game was really fun as well. Windbreaker Episode 7. This was yet another great episode of Windbreaker. We finally have Sakura and Togami's fight, and it was the most brutal fight so far. Like, I honestly wasn't expecting to see so much blood, especially when the series has been pretty light on it so far. Togami's kicks with his wooden sandals were honestly painful to watch. The animation and choreography was great as usual, and we finally have Togami's backstory in this episode. I actually really liked this backstory, especially because it makes his introduction from episode 3 way better. Ever since his introduction, I felt like Togami belonged in a whole different series because of how he acts, and it totally clashes with the tone of the series. And it finally makes sense because it wasn't his actual personality. Togami was just trying to put on a front for Choji. Really interested in seeing whether Sakura actually loses this fight or not. I still feel like he's gonna lose this fight, but it would also make sense for the story if he ends up winning. Also, I really hope that the next episode also covers Umemiya's fight as well. I really don't want to wait another week to see him finally throw hands. And now moving on to the news section. Hideaki Anno recently stated in an interview that there may be plans for more Evangelion. He also said that the project may be handled by someone other than himself with full creative freedom. I know it's a sin, but I've never really watched Evangelion, so I don't have much to say about this, but let me know how you feel about this if you're a fan of the franchise. Also, the article will be linked in the description if you want to check it out for yourself. Next up, we have another key visual for Megami Cafe Season 2 along with a new VA cast for new characters, and the VA lineup is absolutely stacked as hell. Like, they managed to get Rie Takahashi, Ayana Taketatsu, Reina Ueda, Yu Serizawa, and even Kana freaking Hanazawa. I'll put their roles on the screen, so feel free to pause and look through them. Megami Cafe is one of my favorite harem manga. Not a huge fan of the anime, but it's nice to see that they're at least putting in the effort in the voice acting. Next up, we have the announcement of this new VTuber anime. It sounds like it's gonna be really fun from the premise, so I'm really excited for it as well. And finally, we have the announcement of MEDAKA KUROIWA anime to end off the video. I read a decent chunk of the manga a few years back, so I'm really excited for the anime. It's a really cute and wholesome romance manga, so I'm sure it's gonna be fairly popular as well. And that is pretty much all I have to say for all the episodes and news for this week in anime. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it, and consider subscribing for more anime and manga content in general.